in case you didn't notice as I was going through, there's all kinds of cool new shit in our game. Um, Let me save and exit real quick. First of all, you'll notice here I can actually see what regiment I have selected before I go select my regiment, which is so nice. So I know right now if I press the play button, I'm going to play as whatever regiment this is with this hero. And we've actually added the little hero pop-up. This is placeholder art. We'll make it a little prettier later. But it is nice to actually know who you're going to play. The astute amongst you will also notice, I don't remember if we had this last time, we added in a new thing down here in the bottom left-hand corner. This is our live Twitch streams widget thing. So what this stuff down here at the bottom, by the way, some of you will notice that we've got Alara down here. Hi, Alara. So what this thing down here in the bottom is we want when you open the game for there to be a feeling of community and a feeling of, I wonder what's been going on in this game lately. So all of our news will be down here. If we released a new faction that's available on Steam, there'll be news there. If I did a live stream and the VOD for that live stream is up, that'll be down there. If there's some interview about the game or some news about the game, whatever the hell you want to know about the game, rather than forcing you to go to the Discord or go somewhere else, which we'll still have all of that for conversations and stuff. But if there's something important and fun that we want to announce to our users, bam, it'll be right here in one of these little slots in the bottom. And one of these little spots in the bottom is our little live stream thing, where at any given point, and this is all auto magically done. It's not done yet, but we'll get it all in. There's an API for it. Let's say, for instance, MapleTag is playing the game, and he's live streaming it on Twitch. It'll show right there, hey, look, MapleTag is live streaming the game. I'm not sure if we can do hyperlink. I hope we can, but I'd like to be able to click that and be like, yeah, open up a browser and let's go see MapleTag play the game. I think we can do that. I'm not sure, but I want to get down to that point. So at some point, there's a real incentive for you to be live streaming the game and to be one of the top live streamers, because we'll, of course, put it by in order of your viewers. If you're sitting around with 15 or 20 viewers playing the game, you'll probably show up here, and maybe you'll attract more people, and also people will be like, oh, there's people, that's a community thing. So I'm happy about that. Now some of you, the astute amongst you, might have noticed, well, I've got a streaming thing here, but it says over here that Alara Shade is streaming. Why do you have it in two different places? And actually, the reason I wanted to keep it like that, and these by the way are just placeholder samples, but we will hopefully be getting featured streamers who, for whatever reason, we want to really support. So in that case, we might actually put a special banner up that says, maybe not that she's streaming now, but maybe that she's streaming tomorrow, or maybe she's streaming every Wednesday. If there's somebody who's really contributing a lot to the game, and we had some people in Callasia that were doing this, then I'm happy to put something here that says, hey, look, this streamer that, pulls in a good audience and really cares about the game, they're streaming every week. We can put a banner there. And this, by the way, we're not limited to just this space. The little arrows over here will allow me to, slide that back and forth, so we can actually put some stuff over on the right-hand side as well if we have more stuff. So that's all stuff that we're building. Drink of tea. What I'm really happy with, we've gotten a lot of work done on getting the Choose Your Regiment screen to look better. Here you have the, I swear to God, that's supposed to say redheads have more fun. But later on, I was like, wait a minute, that sounds dirty the way that is. And that was there because of the placeholder art for Queen Sawtooth used to be a redhead. Actually, not Queen Sawtooth. Used to be the Gear Mage used to be a redhead. So let's edit a regiment. We've made a couple changes here. The biggest change is all these buttons finally work. We've had these buttons forever and they didn't work. And now the buttons finally work. So for instance, when I click on the heroes, you can see that the Silverwood hero is Princess Silvera and her unit. So you can actually sort by the different, whatever things. Yeah, so here you can see I can sort by the heroes. And yes, by the way, the hero from Tinkersteel is Gearmaid Shelbia. So there's that for those who wondered. The two new heroes are Gearmaid Shelbia, and then in the Wetlands of Khazan is Queen Sawtooth, who rides a big fucking lizard. Shelbia rides a big bird. You can't see it in this art. We have new art for her. Right now she's a placeholder redhead, but we have new art in already. Placeholder art. It's rough, but she's rides a big bird actually. But she does have goggles, so you know there's that. But no, I was talking about UI. Back to the user interface. So now you can also, when you go to the troops, you can sort. And so let's say, for instance, I wanted to have let's say Red Keep. And let's say I wanted to have Captain Tristan be the head of my Red Keep. You'll notice, by the way, we changed the buttons here. Before it used to be you could only drag stuff. But really, a lot of people did not understand the concept of dragging the hero away or putting the hero in. We had a lot of people who were confused by that. And so we have adjusted that. So now you can actually say, oh, I don't want to be Red Keep. I want to be Silverwood. Just press the select faction. It changes that for you. So now that's a little bit more idiot proof. And we've done the same with the cards. You can, let's say you wanted to, let's see, I've selected Tristan here. Let's say I wanted to bring his heavy elk cavalry. I can still drag it over there if I want. But I can also use these buttons down at the bottom to add or subtract units from my regiment. So there's that. Over in the troops menu, we can now sort. So let's say I brought Tristan, and I know that Tristan he's got this cool bonus where he can bring, or he can rally his cavalry. That's kind of a useful thing to have, right? So if I've got the rally cavalry, maybe I want to bring some more cavalry, right? I got to sort through all of these pages, which, by the way, these buttons now work. Instead of using all these buttons, I can say, you know what? I just want to see the cavalry. Where's the cavalry? Oh, they're called mounted. So there's my mounted units. And now I can see, oh, well, these are the two mounted units that I can bring. I can bring this shielded battle crawler, or I love this placeholder art, by the way. I love everything about this placeholder, right? I found this guy on the internet, and I think that's just some of the best cosplay I've ever seen. 2, I want to mention, when he put his little centaur costume together, this guy I found on the internet, he gave himself udders. A, horses don't have udders like that. B, dudes don't have udders. So anyway, that's very, I don't know what to feel about this particular cosplay. And I love the look on his face. He's like, I'm not taking any of this shit seriously. You know he's at a Ren fair somewhere, and just, I love this piece of art that I found on the internet. He's a cow centaur. I don't know. But I found this art funny. But anyway, the other thing I find funny, for those of you who don't get the joke, our centaurs are both mounted and infantry. So, you know, ha ha ha. So that's my little centaur joke. That joke stays in the game. The centaurs are mounted and infantry joke stays in the game. So anyway, now all that's done. So yay, that's all cool. What else did we do in UI art? That's a bunch of UI art that we've done that I'm pretty happy with. We've done a bunch of stuff in the game, added a bunch of units. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about is, one quick note. We had this whole discussion about what I should mention the time now, Monica, because this is kind of a fun little blurb. This time now. We had this discussion. It used to be that I had 3 races in the game. One was, what do you say? I've lost my train of thought. One was Feyborn. No, there wasn't Feyborn. There was Highborn. There was Woodspawn. And there were goblins. And there were orcs. And the goblins and the orcs, I noticed I always put them in the same category. And so I have actually put goblins and orcs together. They are now in one big group called Goblinkin. And Goblinkin can now include goblins and orcs and ettins and ogres and all that other stuff that we want to build later. All of that will be called Goblinkin, and spells that work for Goblinkin will work for all Goblinkin. So now that has been concatenated into one large super group of Goblinkin, of which orcs and goblins and other things are all part of. I think in D&D that group of people is called humanoids, but in our game I'm calling them goblinkin. Because I think it's actually clearer. Because you're like, what are they? They're shit like goblins, you know? The goblins. And so then the other thing was the Highborn were our elves, and the Woodspawn were our weird shit from the woods. And I realized as I moved forward, my weird shit from the woods also included weird shit from the swamps, and weird shit from the ocean, and weird shit from other natural places. And I thought making them wood spawn didn't make a lot of sense because they didn't all come from the woods. I had like a wood spawn unit that hung out in the ocean. And I thought, and the story, by the way, there's the story behind the wood spawn is that they were spawned by the Highborn, which were the elves, in a moment of desperation in a big war. There's a whole history about it. It goes in the game later. But the point is, they were all summoned, like almost like demons. These spirits of nature were summoned and given life form and put out on the world. And then they rebelled, and they were like, "Screw you, elven masters! We'll do what the hell we want to do." And they became kind of a scourge, and kind of went everywhere. So anyway, I had those two terms: Highborn, which meant elf, and Woodspawn, which meant shit the elves made. And I didn't like those two terms. They sounded geeky to me, and I talked to the team and I was like, what should we do with these terms? What should we call these things? And I came up with all these different names for elves. And then I realized, you know what, Chris? It doesn't matter what the fuck you name your elves. When people play your game, they're going to call them elves. So screw it. They're elves. So that was my final decision. What do I call them? Well, you know what? I'm going to call my elves elves. And then when people play the game and they're like, what is this elven unit? They don't have to like, oh, it's a Highborn unit or they're in elves. So that's what you see there now, that they are elves. And here are my elven units. Look, there's elves. There are now elves in the game called elves. There are orcs and elves and goblins, and they're called orcs and elves and goblins. And the orcs and goblins belong to a super group called the Goblinkin. All of that's easy to understand. So then I was like, well, what do I call the Woodspawn? And I actually came up with, you know what? They were born from elves. Elves made them, and elves are fey. I thought about calling them elf-born, but then I was like, that sounds bad. So they are now feyborn. So those are our feyborn units, and they are a number of different units that are spirits of the earth and blah, 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 and all that other stuff. So that's that thing done.